I'm looking for a $100,000 condo.
Well, good morning, Keller Williams. We're about to get going here. It's 10 a.m. and we've brought in a fantastic guest. Melissa Lombard. Many of you have been here for a long time know Melissa, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing her and allow her to introduce herself. But at 10 a.m. it's time to be in your seats and get this show going. So with no further ado, you can lead off with a joke.
You know, I should have been prepared with a really bad joke, but I feel like a couple of you have been sort of handling that on my in my absence. So so no, I don't have a bad joke for you. But thank you all for being here. And yes, I do know most of you, but not quite all of you. So I will start us off with a quick introduction. And before we do that, I'll just tell you just a tiny bit more about me for those who don't know. I was a realtor in Texas, so I do have real estate experience. I was a realtor with Keller Williams at the mothership, as we call it, the very first market center ever in Austin, Texas, and loved real estate so much, probably for a lot of the same reasons that you guys love real estate. And when I moved to Minnesota, it was kind of a family need that brought us back to home. This is home for us. For me, my husband is a Texan, so that was home for him. But I had an opportunity to be in a leadership role here at this market center. And so I spent several years being the team leader here and loved it. And one of the things I loved most, because I love agents the most, it's my very favorite part of real estate at all, is the agents, is just pouring back in and giving you the things, tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. So that's kind of what this class is. This is gonna be, do you ever listen to podcasts on like 1.5 speed or 2 speed? Yeah, that's gonna be this today. Because I'm just gonna fire hose through a bunch of different stuff. It's all gonna make sense together, but we are gonna go fast. And so because of that, the piece of paper, the little half sheet of paper that's in front of you, we may not get time for questions, but questions are so important, especially to your leadership team, so that they know the things that are on your mind or the things that you need clarity on or you need some training on. So if we don't get to them, whether we get to them or not, please record your questions on the piece of paper. If you want a personal response, put your contact information or your name on it. And then I will be sure that the team gets those questions so that they can look at future trainings and so forth. So where did I go after being the team leader here? It was a bit of a heartbreak to have to leave this office just because there were so many relationships here, and it was just really just my favorite job that I've ever had. But God had a different plan for my life. So my husband and I have spent the last couple of years as missionaries, both in Turkey and then in Germany. And if you want to hear more about that story, it's a story that I love to talk about. And I'm not positive that it was set up this way, but this was my intention for this class, is that our first 60 minutes is going to be a lot, and it's going to be very real estate focused. And then our the bonus half an hour, the last 30 minutes, is going to be a little bit more about building a business from a Christian perspective. So building your business with a kingdom focus. Does that mean that you have to be a Christian for it to make sense to you? Not at all. But I am a Christian, and that has been the biggest decision that has affected my life in the most positive way, and in the most surprising way. And so I do want some time to talk about that with you guys. So that's what you're in for, okay? So because there are a couple new faces, I do want to very quickly, this is a challenge. This is a challenge for some of you. We're going to do a 15-second max introduction. What is your name? How long have you been in the business? I should have written these up here. What's one thing that holds you back? Thank you. Okay, name, time in business, the one thing that you feel like holds you back. We're just gonna go ahead and be vulnerable. This is family, okay? This is a safe place. What are you best at? And what do you consider to be your one thing in your business?
What does that mean?
What's your one thing?
Your big why?
No, what is like the one, no. So GPS, like your big one thing at the top of your GPS, the thing driving your business. Yeah, maybe big why, maybe would work. That would work too. Anybody have an extra pen? Okay, so name, time to business, what's holding you back, what are you best at? So what's the one thing that holds you back? What's the one thing that you're best at? And what's the one thing what's your one thing in your business? Okay, so we're gonna start over here.
I got my glasses on so I can see what she's writing.
Okay, what's that?
Scotty.
How long you been in this?
This is the start of my 15th year. What's holding me back?
Only one.
Worry. Well, girl, you think there's a bunch of things holding me
15
back?
seconds. Oh, no, because there could be many things.
The beauty of the flexibility of this job is also the curse. Best at, fierce loyalty and relationships. Sometimes it ends up getting me hurt, but I'm sticking with it. And what is the last one?
One thing driving your business.
I love to travel. I could tell you why, but I love to travel because we are not guaranteed another day on this planet, and I want to fill mine with memories more than stuff.
Okay.
And I need the money to travel.
Okay. Let me clarify, just because this is gonna be helpful. I care about that answer too, but when we think about the one thing, actually think about the lead domino. Hopefully some of you have read the one thing, and so you do have clarity about what's your lead domino. What's the big domino that's gonna tip over, making all the other dominoes easier or unnecessary?
And for me, it would just be, it's the 80-20. I need to focus on the 20% of my sphere that are my star rating fans, and everything will come from that.
Perfect. Kelly. Jamie.
Fine.
15 seconds on stop.
Thank God, that's what I'm waiting for. Kelly Arvidsson, this summer will be 10 years. What is holding me back? Me, lead gen, that sort of thing. What am I best at? Probably, like, once I'm with somebody, I feel like they're happy with me, and like I'm good at my job and I can, we'll have a successful outcome. One thing driving my business, I would say, what is? That's a good question. That's probably why I'm struggling a bit.
Honesty, love that. And that's a totally legitimate answer.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I've been in and out of the business since 2002. Holding me back, limiting beliefs. Best at making sure people know they're valued. One thing that drives your business really is the biggest thing for me is all the answers you're going to hear. That lead domino is the leadership team investing deeply in things.
Hello, I'm Michelle. I've been in the biz about 4 years now. What's holding me back? Limiting beliefs and thinking that, people don't want to work with me or I shouldn't work with me, certain people. I'm best at, I think, connecting with my clients and finding out what they really need and delivering solutions. And my lead domino is consistent lead gen.
I'm Kim, and I've been in the business for about 5 years. I hold myself back. What am I best at? I guess just connecting with my clients and my lead domino.
It's okay. Thank you.
I'm Shelby. I've been in the business for like 4 months.
Woo! You're here! Welcome, Shelby.
Something that holds me back is definitely myself and like the doubt that I have for myself. And I'm not really sure what I'm best at yet because I haven't really been in here like long enough to figure that out.
Okay.
And my lead domino, I'm not really sure yet.
That's probably Greek to you at this point.
Yeah.
You probably haven't read that book, so that's okay. That's okay. You'll figure that out. Yes. Okay.
Sherry Topness, 21 years licensed. I cannot read that, but time management.
You back. Okay.
Yep. Best at reading what my clients are looking for when I'm working with them. And lead domino, I don't know right now.
Hi, Amanda White.
What is your name? Sorry.
Amanda White.
Amanda, okay.
3.5 years. What's holding me back? Surety. What am I best at? Still trying to figure that out. And what's holding surety business? I'm not sure.
No problem. Hi, I'm Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I'm not an agent, I'm a closer, I do title. I've been in title for 8 years. What's holding me back, I would say time. Best at
Time
probably-
management or just?
I wouldn't say time management, just having the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Best at, I think, developing and nurturing relationships, continuing to nurture them. Things that might be domino, I'm not sure.
I'm Krista Nelson. I've been in the business 40 years. What holds me back is also time, but mine's more for the reason because I have a hard time asking for help. And they call me a control freak, so maybe that's part of it. Things I'm best at is probably problem solving, explaining the process, especially to my elderly and the first-time home buyers, and just being a resource, kind of resource for clients. My lead domino, I gotta say, is relationships with my raving fans and just nurturing those all the time.
I'm Jamie Ogden.
Wanted to figure out some things don't change.
No, I'm Tom Wright, and like Kelly, I'm in my 10th year in real estate, all here. And
Congratulations, smart man.
I think so. Yeah. What's holding me back, I think, periodic bouts of self-doubt. What am I best at? I think listening and making people feel comfortable. And the lead domino is, kind of like Scotty said, that 80-20 and focusing on that 20%.
Cool. Misha?
Well, you know my name. My name's Misha. I've been in real estate, it'll be 6 years, 5 years, I don't know, March.
Okay.
19, yeah, it'll be 6 years in March. What's holding me back? Myself, time management. What I'm best at, I would say talking to anybody. I've never been a stranger.
Okay.
And the thing that should be driving my business is consistent lead gen. And it's not, which is why my business is suffering.
Okay, that's fair.
Jason Robertson, time in business, 3 years and change. What's holding me back? Quantity of meetings with appointments. What am I best at? Personalizing solutions for people. What's the one thing that drives my business more than anything? Having a large breadth of knowledge about possible solutions.
Okay.
I am Tasha Wells. I have been in the business almost 16 years, which feels like yesterday, and 900 years. What's holding me back would be time management and or procrastination, which probably stems from feeling like things need to be perfect, then they're not, so you don't do it at all. I'm not at all. So we're working on that. And what am I best at? Problem solving with my clients, finding them exactly what, not exactly what they're looking for, but helping them see that we have found the best solution for them, whether it's buying or selling. One thing driving my business. That's a good question. Okay. I'm not there right now.
Okay.
Hi, Alyssa Webster. I've been in the business for 2.5 years. Holding me back would be like consistency / time management. 2 little kids that always seem to get in the way of that sometimes. I'm best at making my clients feel prioritized during our transactions. And lead domino is still probably a little fuzzy.
Sarah Anderson. I am coming up on 10 years this summer. What holds me back is squirrels, I think lack of focus. When I focus, I can get a lot done. I'm best at listening, especially to my clients. And then listings, that's what I spend my time and energy and money on.
Hi, I'm Kathy. And what's holding me back, I'm new,
Hey.
3 months.
You're here.
What's holding me back, I think it's just that I'm new.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn all aspects. And I feel like I'm best at being a good listener, and I'm personable. I'm connecting with others. And my one thing in business that drives me is family and travel. And the love for this industry.
Candace probably figured out what we're doing. We're just answering quick.
I was on Zoom, so I heard.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
So I'm Candace. I am going in my 6th year in real estate now. What's holding me back would probably be my limiting beliefs.
Okay.
And just all the noise that goes on in my head scrolling. Best at building rapport and creating relationships with my clients. And then I guess I am not really sure on my one thing. I'm not clear on that.
Okay. All right. Other people online that have anything to? Okay. We're probably just gonna move fast. So if they didn't type anything, I probably should have instructed. Whoa, my goodness. If you are on Zoom, welcome. I am not the most Zoom-friendly instructor. I'm going to kind of forget that you're there, and I'm sorry. I'm just going to let you know that up front. I resent Zoom. Just kidding. I know it's great. I'm glad that you're on it. I know you're far away, probably. Okay. So thank you again for your honesty. It's my hope that the lead domino question gets answered for you in the course of the rest of our time together. And that we're gonna bring some clarity even to some of those other pieces as well. So we are gonna start with an exercise that some of you are gonna be familiar with. This is just magic. Whee! I feel like thanks, Maria. Man, like something like that. Okay. Okay, so this is a really fun exercise that some of you will have seen before, and you'll remember it by its name, which is called the one thing thing. Okay, this is the one thing thing. And we're gonna do some math together, and I know that realtors who are great at relationships are also great at math. So feel free to get out your calculator if you need it, but I am gonna need your help probably. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of lay this out, and like I said, we're gonna go fast, and again, I apologize to those on Zoom. We can take a picture of this and put it in the chat later. Okay, so we're gonna start with, in our math, we're gonna start with one listing appointment. And then there is a variable here that we're gonna insert a number. And probably for easy math, I'm gonna give you the number, but what goes in this number, if you're doing this later for yourself, is how many weeks, well, first of all, how many weeks of the year are there? 52. Smart, 52. So there is only one wrong answer to this question. How many weeks of the year do you plan to work?
I know the wrong answer.
52 is the wrong answer. 52, Tasha was right. 52 is the only wrong answer, right? So what's the right answer? Well, it's a personal decision. We for sure want you to take 4 weeks of vacation every year, if possible. Take 4 weeks away from your business. Every quarter, you should be taking a little time away from your business, even if it is just, it's planning time too. So for the sake of just simplicity in math, we're actually gonna go with the most conservative number here, and we're gonna say 40. We're gonna say 40 weeks of work. So that means that you have 12 weeks off from work in this example. Wouldn't that be great? Okay? All that matters is that we end up with a number at the end that you're happy with. So let's just start here and see how you feel. Okay, so if we do this, one listing appointment for 40 weeks, how many listing appointments? 40. Yay! Okay, 40 listing appointments. Okay, now let's make the assumption that you aren't as good as you are, because we're gonna do conservative math here. You are great, and every time you go on a listing appointment, I bet 9 times out of 10, you nail that thing and you get the listing. But let's say that you're not good and that you only get 50%. So we're gonna bake in a 50% conversion rate. So if that's the case, how many listings did you take?
20.
20 listings taken. Now, don't worry if some of this is, especially for those of you who are newer, again, I applaud you for being here, but some of this stuff is gonna be like, whoa, how'd you get there? So this is gonna be one of those. So, oh wait, no, we gotta do some more conversion. Okay, so you gotta sell this listing, right? So you got the listing appointment, now you gotta sell the house. So again, we're gonna assume that you're kind of crummy, and so you only and that the market is just garbage, and you overprice sometimes, and you know, we're gonna say that only 50% of your listings sell, okay? Just again, for the most conservative numbers here. So you've got a 50% conversion. How many listings sold? 10. Okay, listings sold. Sorry for the handwriting, this marker is giving me a hard time. Okay, so 10 listings sold. This is the part where you might be like, what? How does this happen? We're gonna talk about this. 10 listings sold means that you should, from those 10 listings, you should get at least one buyer every time, okay? And we can talk about that. So we're gonna say conservatively that you've got 10 buyers.
Only if they're on the market more than one day.
Hey, there's still ways. Okay, so I'm gonna do that math for you. 20 sales. Now, average commission, I checked with Melissa. She said that 7,500 is still a good number to roll with. I was thinking surely it was higher.
It's 10.
Our market center is 10.
10, okay, fantastic, let's go with 10.
Yeah.
Okay, that's even easier math. Okay, so $10,000 per, okay, average commission. Okay, somebody is gonna take a picture of that. So how much money is that?
200,000. Be excited about 200,000.
200,000!
There you go. $200,000. Okay, so I hope we're gonna keep doing a little bit of extra math here. We're gonna make you better. But I just want to draw attention to this. That by focusing on one listing appointment, taking 12 weeks off every year, you could end up with $200,000. Okay? But this is because this is assuming that you're not so good at this, and so we're going to increase some numbers, and we're going to say that this goes to 80% because you are getting great training here at Keller Williams. So you know how to price, you know how to market, you know how to negotiate. So 40 times 80% is what?
32.
32. Okay. And we're going to say that again, you are better than that. And so 80% of your listings, this is still a conservative number in this market, 80% of your listings are going to sell. So 80% of 32 is what?
25.6.
Okay, so we can't sell a portion, so we're going to go with 25. Yeah? Okay, so that makes this easy. 25, 25, so we got 50. Now what do we got?
500,000!
Thank you.
Should have said $500,000. That sounds better, Tracy.
$500,000!
Woohoo! Okay. Yeah, baby. Okay. So by focusing on one listing appointment for 40 weeks, and you're better now, that is $500,000 in gross commission. Does that number surprise anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. That's honest. It does, right? It is surprising. Because probably some of you are making that kind of money in this room, but not everybody is. And so today, I want to make it a little bit easier. I want to dispel the myths that this is a complicated business, that is, you know, you've got to be the most creative person in the room in order to nail this thing. You don't. You have joined the right company that's teaching you the right skills, and you got to have playbook. And so when you follow the playbook, you can sprinkle in your creativity, but when you just follow the playbook, the business kind of takes care of itself. And yes, you can get better, and we're going to talk about some of those things. So if we were going to prioritize, if we were going to talk about like every year you should be working on some skills, right? Well, what's the first skill that you need to be nailing in order for this to drive this whole thing?
Lead generation.
Yes. Okay, that's your first skill. Your second skill, I'm gonna go over here because this is actually gonna have the bigger impact, is making sure that you're getting a buyer consistently from every listing. Here's gonna be your third skill is your presentation, your listing presentation. Now, if you don't have one, if you're one of these that's new, you're not gonna worry about this one first. You gotta get a listing presentation. So I'm assuming that you've got a mediocre listing presentation and you feel fairly confident presenting that to somebody. If you don't, then you probably need to start here. Don't even set a listing appointment if you don't feel like you're gonna be confident in that, but you're in the right place. You can learn that here. Here's your fourth skill, will be selling those. And then I'm gonna add a fifth opportunity here, and this is to increase your average list price. Not by just inflating the list price of the home that you're listing, but by attracting clients that are maybe move-up clients, that you might go into luxury as an option. This is something that's gonna come naturally to those of you who are newer in the business as you stay in the business longer. Because you are gonna start to have those clients that are moving up. Now they bought their starter home from you, and now next time they're gonna buy a house, it's a little bit more because they've got equity in it, and they're gonna thank you for guiding them in that direction. And so this will come naturally, but it is also a strategy that you can build into your business that will have an impact on your income. Okay, any questions on this? So these are the skills necessary in order to have a real estate business, okay? Any questions on it? Because this is super important. I meant to also tell you that I'm going into this class with a couple of assumptions. And I know that it's not going to be true for a couple of you because you're new enough that this might not be true. I'm going to make the assumption that you have, I hope, but you certainly know what a GPS is. Goals, priorities, and strategies. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, but we're not going to talk much. So if you don't know what that is and you don't have a one-page business plan for the year, that's a top priority for you. Not in your lead gen time, but in your other time. Also, I'm assuming that you have a 411. So you've taken that GPS and now you know what to do every single week. Again, if you don't, then that's an area for you to focus on. I'm making the assumption that you have read the Red Book, the MREA, that this is something that you are familiar with and that you have read and are reading, that you have read the book, The One Thing. That will make the lead domino very, very clear to you. And that you have, I'm gonna also make the assumption, I don't know if you guys are championing this book still, but when I was here, 12-week year was something that we talked a lot about. And so I just really, really believe in the power of operating your business from a 12-week mindset. It will be a game changer for you. Okay, so those are some assumptions that I am making. All right. Now, going back to this list of things, time was on there quite a bit. I don't want to flip this back over because you might still be noodling on this. You might still be being like, whoa, okay. Oh, and then I totally forgot one other thing. Oh my gosh, this is the super fun math. Okay, here. All right, so, I already used that color. All right, here. So, oh no, not here. We're gonna commit to that amount. Okay, but guess what this is assuming? This is assuming that you're only setting one listing appointment a week. How many days of the week do you want to work? There's 7. Can't work that many. 5. Maybe even 4. Maybe one day you keep as your admin day, but 4 days a week you lead gen. Now we get to multiply that by 4, and we get an even bigger number. Is right? Is that right?
$2 million.
Oh, did you do the finger by your mouth?
Oh my gosh. I mean, if this doesn't like fill you with hope, it should. It really, really, really should. Like, this is the most exciting business I mean, I just can't, I can barely even talk because I'm so excited about it. Okay, and that's clear. All right, so now we're gonna dive into some of the things that were on your list that you feel like is holding you back. I hope that I have already demystified a little bit about the one thing. I really appreciate all the honesty that you had, and a couple of you did say that lead gen, prioritizing your 20%, which would would be your lead gen, your lead domino. I hope that we can all agree that lead generating for a listing appointment is the one thing that if you commit to it every day, you can have a business beyond your wildest imagination. And if 2 million is not enough for you, well, you can work a little bit more, you can build a team and have other people on your behalf lead generating. I'm not saying that this is the end. I'm saying this is the size of a business that an individual can create. But if you want to run a team, there's ways that you can build an even bigger business. Okay? So we're gonna yes.
I'm gonna break that down even further is into how many hours of lead gen?
I say you lead gen until you get your listing
appointment.
Got it.
And as you do it more, you'll get better at it and it'll happen faster. Yeah. Okay, so couple of things on time. Some of these things I'm just gonna spit them out. They're just gonna be little nuggets of wisdom, okay? It's impossible to execute on a plan that you don't have, okay? So this is why the GPS is so important. When it comes to time, this really, I mean, I appreciate the honesty so much because so many people are like time and, you know, squirrel and all of that, and that is so true. But in this business, your work is important. Do not misunderstand me in any way. What you do is so important, and in ways that you don't maybe even understand. You have an incredible opportunity to build relationships with people, to put them in a financial position, to be on the right track for so many great things in their life. But what you do is also not a matter of life and death, meaning that you can take a break. You do not have to answer the phone at 10 o'clock at night because your client feels like it's an emergency. So I want you to think about this. Most fires are just sparklers. Let them burn out. If you let something, those of you who have been in the business know this. If you have had to let an important call wait because you were doing something that was legitimately more important or you just didn't see it, and then the client just magically answered the problem themselves or just got themselves, unwound, it happens. It will happen. So just know that, your worth, your worth in this business is not measured by your response time. Now, be reasonable here. Oh, you do need to respond to people, but it does not need to be within the first 5 minutes that you get the text. Your worth is not measured by your response time, available hours, or weekend hours. It's measured by the impact that you have. So focus on being impactful in the business and not focus on, I gotta be here all the time. You can't create impact from burnout. And just 2 quick little thoughts about that. I lived in Germany for a little while recently, and everything, and I do mean everything, is closed on Sundays. Everything except churches. Not that most people are in the churches, but churches are closed. But you get around it. Like, as an American coming there, I'm like, well, what do I do? Well, like, how? I must have bread today, It's like, no, you could buy bread yesterday and you're gonna be all right, or you could skip bread for a day.
It used to be like that in the 60s and 70s.
Right,
here.
right.
You couldn't get a gas station in.
That's right. And right now, today, can you buy a car on a Sunday at a dealership? I don't think so. I'm like, I haven't gone for a little while.
Go with Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby.
Right, yes, you can't go to Chick-fil-A, you can't go to Hobby Lobby. So it is not unprecedented that you would take a day off and that you would set that expectation with your client. Okay, we're moving on from that. The 12-week year, I do not have time to teach an entire class about that, but it is such a good book, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I'm gonna tell you a couple of nuggets. So you're committing to a plan for 12 weeks. I like to think about my life in terms of projects. And so when you do it that way, it's like, okay, in my real estate business, this quarter, my project is to get my database, cleaned up a little bit or whatever it is. And then your goals are gonna follow suit. There's a 13th week each quarter, or I know you're not supposed to call it quarters. Ugh. If you read the book, you're gonna be like, Melissa said quarters. And yeah, you're not supposed to. It's a 12 week, it's 12 weeks. It doesn't have to be quarterly. But the 13th week, just a beautiful thing. It's built right in. You get a 13th week, and that's your week to plan. So when you come up with your 12-week plan, this is the beautiful thing about it for you squirrel chasers out there. You commit to your 12-week plan and you do not vary it. You do not get off course. You do not say, oh, I went to this class with Melissa and she said that I should do this, so I'm gonna start doing that instead. No, you wait until the 13th week and you say, okay, where are my notes from Melissa's class? Yeah, here's a couple of things I'm gonna implement, okay? You do not make changes midstream, okay? You're committing to the 12 weeks. Gary Keller says this all the time. Success is boring. And it is true. You have to be comfortable with a certain amount of boringness. If you want to have this business, I guarantee you that this is not going to be exciting every single time. It's going to be miserable some days. It's going to be scary, especially in the beginning. A lot of days it's going to be fun, and the longer you do it, the more fun it's going to get, because you are literally just talking to people who you already love. I mean, most of the time. Sometimes they're strangers, but that success is boring. You've got to just keep doing it anyhow. Okay, so the GPS, we already talked a little bit about that, but I just want to be clear. You know, goal is at the top. P is for priorities. So that's your 20%. There's been some talk, for those of you who are new, there's been some talk about your 20% or your big rocks is another term that you're going to hear. So you've got to know what, and this is the Pareto's principle, right? 20% of all the activities you do in this business produce 80% of the results. So you've got to find out what those are. And here's a secret for those who don't know. There are great people here. Your leadership team can help point you to those things. You don't even have to figure it out on your own. We can give you, like, here's a couple that you should start with, and then you can personalize them as you get longer in the business. But so that is, and then your strategies. Those are the actions that you take. So in this case, you know, your goal is to make $2 million this year. Okay, that's your goal. That's awesome. Okay, your strategy is, I'm going to set my listing. This is your priority for the week. I'm going to set 4 listing appointments this week, and today I'm going to lead gen until I set a listing appointment. That's how that breaks down. Goal, priority, strategy. Okay, and then your 411 is simply you taking that to, all right, here's my goals. I've got 4 weeks now. 4 weeks in 4 weeks per year, and then 1 week. So it's like your 1 week action plan. I really love the 12-week years version of that. So anyway, that's okay. A little bit more on this front load. This is huge, I feel like. Did you know that 70% of the rocket fuel used when a rocket goes into the air, 70% of the rocket fuel is used in the first 2 minutes of launch? That's interesting. Well, how that applies to you is you are most energized in the beginning of the year, in the beginning of the month, in the beginning of the week. So utilize that knowledge and front load your week. If you start coasting on Monday, you are in for oops, it just turned into one of my off weeks, and not really, because everything can be turned around. However, front loading your week, Brian Tracy says, eat the frog. It sounds disgusting, but if you know that you got to eat a frog by Friday, you might as well just eat it on Monday and be done with it, right? Like, I don't want to dread eating the frog all week long. If I've got to set a listing appointment, please, Lord, let me not wait until 1 o'clock in the afternoon to start making those calls, right? And I have not lead generated for a listing appointment in a long time, but I did lead generate for recruiting appointments all the time. So I know how hard this is. I am not trying to in any way minimize, you just got to do this and it's going to be so easy. I know how hard it is. I do. And we're going to talk about some strategies for this. So do not think that I'm minimizing that. The other thing that I'm going to say is bookend your weeks. I have found there to be real magic in reviewing at the end of every week and then looking ahead to the week coming, okay? So as much as I do not advocate working on Sunday, I do think that is a really good day to do this. And so, a lot of people do not love the word accountability, but when I talk about accountability, it's about being accountable to you. These are your goals. This is what you want to achieve. This is attached to your big why, the travel and the family time and all of the big dreams, the giving, the community impact that you want to have. Like, there's so much attached to that. So you need to be accountable to your own dreams, right? And so every week I would encourage you to ask yourself these questions. What were your priorities last week? What were my priorities last week? How did I do? How do I feel about that? And based on those answers, what am I going to do differently next week? And if you're coaching anybody, if you got a team, those are perfect questions to ask your team members. Okay? All right. We already talked a little bit about time blocking, but the first thing that gets time blocked when you are planning for this, the first thing that gets time blocked on your calendar every year is your vacations, right? And then you gotta put your 20% in there. So I think all of you know what time blocking is, but it's just getting it onto your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. Here's a little gold nugget. When we think about like time blocking and like, well, what if my client wants me to do a listing appointment at 7 in the morning and that's my lead gen time? Well, stay in control of your schedule. If somebody wants to meet with you during a scheduled time block time or family time especially, one way that you can, listen, people say this to you all the time. I'm not available then, but I am available here. And in the meantime, I've got a little bit of homework for you to do. So give them a task that helps them to feel productive during this waiting time, and they will chill out. They will feel like you are working for them because you've just given them work to do. So now they've got an assignment, and then you get that time off, and now you're meeting on, Monday, which is a reasonable time to meet, not, Sunday at 7 in the morning, or whatever it is that they wanted. Okay, a couple of mindset things. Some of these things sound, but I just feel like they're so true, and so I'm gonna tell you anyhow. You can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And that's just the truth. I wish it wasn't true. I love excuses, they're my favorite. But I love results more, I do. In 5 years, what will you wish you had started today? It's a good question to think about. Success is boring. Follow the roadmap to success, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. And let's normalize not feeling like it. It's gonna be okay. Like if you pick up the phone and you have kind of a good conversation with somebody, which is bound to happen. If you're lead generating for one listing appointment, you're gonna talk to enough people that one of those conversations is gonna be life-giving. And you're gonna be so glad that you made the call. And it might not even be the one that turns into the listing appointment, but there will be gold in the calls. And then really surround yourself, is it Jim Rohn that says you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with? Yeah. So I have really just seen that proven out to be so true. So really take stock. I mean, that is something that you could do every quarter, is to look at, or I said quarter, a bit of a Q word, every 12 weeks, on the 13th week, evaluate who did you spend time with, who were you prioritizing, look at your calendar, look through your pictures. These are really great ways to remind yourself. Okay, now we're gonna talk about lead gen. Who wants to talk about lead gen? Okay, we're moving faster. Melissa's gonna talk even faster than she has been. Okay, so plan out your schedule. Here's something that I suggest. I like for every day, because remember, you're doing this 4 days out of the week, maybe 5 if you're feeling, spicy. But certainly not 7, and I don't even think 6. So I think it's fun when it's like every day kind of has a different, I have a different purpose, right? So when you plan it out, this removes the mystery. You're not waking up today going, because this is what happens. This is why we don't lead gen. Who am I supposed to call today? I don't know who to call. And then I'm doing my lead gen time, which is really just the researching and going through my phone, and then now I'm on Facebook, and the whole day is fun. Okay, so maybe it's going back. I would prioritize referrals. Did anybody give you a referral that you haven't followed up with? Well, hop on that, friends. Open house guests. Did you hold an open house? Those are the great people to follow up with. Open house neighbors. We're going to talk about our strategy for reaching the neighbors. Past buyers. What's the alphabet thing? DTD2. DTD2? Oh, I can never get that. Okay. DTD2. Is that right? Is that what I'm thinking? Okay, the database?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, so do that.
What is that?
How do,
Tell me later,
Sign
okay.
letters.
yes, it's like, okay, today I'm calling the A's and the L's.
Yep.
Instead of
Like
every,
EFG.
You get it in bold, it's in your bold.
Got it.
yes, I'm sorry, I forgot what it was called, but you,
Thank you.
it's a way of just having instead of being like, which past clients do I call today? Okay, we've even got a calendar over there. Yes, well, Shelby can make a copy for that if you don't have one.
Yep,
Yay, thank you, Shelby, you are on the ball. It is Shelby, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So, past buyers, past sellers, expireds, CMAs. I will tell you a little strategy about CMAs, that I think CMAs are the most incredible tool that you have in your arsenal, that you can make slick ones. They don't even have to be slick. I propose that you send 2 CMAs to a client every year, that you put them on a 6-month schedule, and listen, I know command is great and you can put it in there, and that's probably exactly what you need to do. If you aren't quite there yet, put it in your calendar. I would just put their name in my calendar on, you know, and then 6 months later, I put their name on my calendar. It's all you need, just put their name in there. And then you know, okay, now I need to follow back up with that person. I suggest that you do a paper one, you put it in a big envelope and you mail it to them one of the times in the year. And on the other time of the year, you do a video. You do a video CMA and you're walking them through and you're showing them, because now they know, wow, she didn't just print this, you know, I don't know, it gives them a little special touch. Now you have just made, like, they've seen you, there's magic in it, just trust me. I could talk more about it, I'm not going to though, because I need to move faster. All right, oh, okay, in the danger of me going too long in this area, I'm gonna only go to two niches here, but I think that are really, for a lot of you, the magic to finding your love and your passion in this business is to find a little niche, okay? What's the thing that you do that you can just kind of focus on? And I'm gonna give you 2 examples of this. So maybe you're a networker. I love to network. I love to go to events, I love to network with people, I love to meet new people. So, and so when you're identifying your niche, it's something that you are just already good at. It's something that you already love to do, right? So if you're a networker, okay, instead of just attending events, attend the event with the goal of, I will walk away from here having had 2 meaningful, deep connections, okay? That's better than, I'm just gonna see who I can meet and I'm just gonna talk to everybody but not ever like exchange information with anybody. So going with a purpose, following up afterwards. Like, this sounds so basic, but can I tell you how many people don't do this? They go to a networking event, they eat the lunch, and then they go home and they're like, well, I was just sorry, remember what they said, you know? Like, that's like a complete waste of time. Like, absolutely, you should have just stayed in your jammies. So instead, if you're gonna do it like all the way. Go all the way in, set up the coffees afterward, like follow up with people, set up coffees. Here's a pro tip, I love this idea. This is how I'm wired, so this sounds super fun to me. If it doesn't sound fun to you, then skip this one. But I take notes at the event. Then I type up a few of those notes. 1-pager, just a couple of the biggest notes from, because always at networking events there's a speaker, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Take notes on that event. And then very easily, could even just literally be a Word document with the header and footer, you know, like Melissa Lombard, you know, here's my phone number. But if you have some Canva ability, like make a little bit of a template that looks nice and has your contact information on it. And then when you follow up with people from the event, would you like me to, I took notes and I always like send it out to people afterwards. Would you like me to send it to you? Yeah, they would. Think about other people in your database who might have liked to have been at something like this. Send it out to them. Like, this is just an easy way for you to do what you already did and make it stick, because we know that when you take notes and when you type up notes, it's gonna last longer, but it's a way for you to be helpful. Here's another fun thing that I like to do. I get a quote from the speaker, a really good one, and I turn it into a little note card and I send it to them as the thank you. I know that's a little extra, I know, but it's just something. Like, you have really made an impression. I will just tell you that right now. I did that with Jay Papazan. Long story, but eons ago I had a project called Coffee with a Stranger, and I had coffee with Jay Papazan, and I sent him a card, and it did have quite an impact. So I will just tell you that this is a winning strategy if you choose to go for it. Okay, maybe you get so good at this that you actually turn it into a class. At the very least, maybe you just turn it into, you know, a little like, hey, what did I learn from 30 networking events over 30 days? Now, type up something. Do you know how many people like are afraid of networking? Like, don't know how to make small talk? Like, almost everybody in your database. There's 75% of the people in your database would be interested to have some tips if they were good. So get the good ones and, all right, I'm moving on, okay. Okay, oh, another thing, like to do a poll. So if you're networking and you kind of get known to be a networker, do a poll to your contacts, maybe on Facebook. Hey, I'm looking to connect with a CPA. Who's your favorite? Who do you know? Now all of a sudden your database is like saying, oh, here's this person, you know, and now you've got a list of people. Now, can I just tell you, 2 really great things comes from this. Number 1, you've got a contact to somebody. Now you're going to reach out to the CPA and say, hey, Miss CPA, my client Jennifer says that you're the best. I would love to have coffee with you. Fantastic. Okay, now you've got another connection. This is great. Here's the other thing. Jennifer, is somebody who is willing, when someone says, who do you know who's good at? She is willing to say, here I have somebody. So you have got to nurture Jennifer in a big way because she either is a champion of yours or she's got the potential to be, okay? All right, I do not have time to do any more of those. I had a lot more niches. Throwing parties could be another niche. A mini niche, garage sales. Oh, there were some good ones in here, but we have got to move on, friends, or we're never gonna get to the end of this. Okay, couple of things about open houses, okay? Oh, I do have to tell you this though, okay. Jason Abrams, I love him. He taught a class, is he still around? Yeah. Oh, good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I've been away for a while. I have been out of the country and out of the KW sphere, and I sure hate to be loving somebody who betrayed us. He did not. He's still on the yes list. We love him. He is invited to everything. Okay, Jason Abrams one time taught a class about like finding your niche, and he's really good at it. And he, you know, I think he did it for like professional sports and like cool, but not everybody is built that way. But he was like, do not think like you have to have some magical thing. He's like, one time this lady came up to me in his class that I taught about, you know, find your niche, and he's like, everybody can do this, and she's like, I don't think so, not me. And he's like, okay, let's do this together. What do you love to do? I love to drink and I love to smoke. Oh. And I am telling you what, he nailed it. He helped her build a business based on drinking and smoking. And I know that sounds crazy, but she had this lake that she liked to go to, and so she had branded cigarette lighters and koozies made, and she did this whole thing where she hosted these things at the lake. And I mean, it was more than just drinking and smoking together. But he did help her find a way to take what she loved. It turns out she liked to drink on the boat, you know? So like, maybe we'll use the boat, not just the drinking. You know? Well, hopefully she wasn't driving the boat. Anyway, I'm not at all advocating this. However, I'm just saying that if you're sitting here going, I don't know what my niche would be, talk to somebody else. Your friends probably have good ideas for you. Okay. Oh, I gotta take a breath. What is the goal? What is the goal of an open house?
Meet buyers, get clients.
Yes. What it's not is great to sell a house.
Right.
And sometimes, like there's some open houses don't sell houses. They do, okay, they do. But it is not the number one reason for you to be there, right? So if you already have offers on this house, I mean, obviously your clients are in charge. But you as a professional have ways that you can talk your client into, not talk them into, that sounds wrong, but you know what I'm trying to get at. You can show them that there is value in continuing to keep this open house that they have scheduled for Saturday on the schedule, even though they already have offers. Because we don't know that we might get a backup offer. You know, there's lots of reasons for it, and you know all that, and that's not the focus of this class, but I'm just gonna really encourage you that even if you've got offers, hold that open house. And I think that you probably would really enjoy having a giant, like just super focused on open houses class, because there is so much that you could learn about open houses that we just don't have time to get into today. But open houses are magical, like absolutely magical. So the goal for every open house, I'm gonna tell you, is to set at least one appointment. So when I would hold an open house, I would time block off, and here's my favorite thing, short open houses, 2 hours max. 2 hours max. Because the same amount of people are gonna show up in 2 hours as show up in 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, that's just, maybe you'll get one extra one. But what you could do in those extra hours is be so much more productive. And I'm gonna advocate for off days, you know, like maybe you're doing one on a Friday, a happy hour type of a thing. Like people could hit it out Friday after on the way home from work, Thursday. I mean, whatever. Especially lake season, forget about it.
I had really good luck on doing noon open houses from 12 to 1,
There you
especially
go.
in the senior community with a one-level townhouse.
Yes.
Really,
Get creative.
and they
It does
got
not
there,
have to
and they
be.
were there, and they were waiting.
Right, exactly.
I think it was I've done it both on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Okay, we are moving. So the open house, I want you to continue to block 4 hours on your calendar. And this is why. Because I want you to use that extra time. I'm gonna assume, so somebody comes to the open house And, I just do not have time to get into it. But I would love for you to have a listing of other houses that are available. So if this one is not the one, but they seem like serious buyers, now you could say to them, hey, I actually have some time free. This open house ends at 11. I would love to meet you and show you if any of these other houses, which are in your price range and in this neighborhood, are of interest to you. I'd be happy to open those doors for you. That's an appointment right there. Boom, okay? Sellers
You have to have something signed to do that
we have a
now.
new
Sign
rule.
my buyer rep agreement.
And then have your buyer rep agreement, so that all you gotta do is say, here, you know,
one
I gotta clean up this house, I've got 15 minutes and I'm gonna be ready, but well, here's some homework for you to do, while you go sit in your car and drink this bottle of water and fill this paperwork out. Yes, there you go. Thank you for that. Okay, geo-farming around your listings, around your open houses, there's so much goodness in that, but I don't got time. Okay. Here's what I want to end with, and then we're gonna shift into the other one, and then we might have a chance to go back to some of that if you're gonna leave. Candace is looking at me like, I'm like, what? This is an hour and a half long class. We're gonna shift into a little bit more of a kingdom focus, like operating your business from a Christian perspective is gonna be the last half an hour. So if that's not your jam, no hard feelings. This would be, I'll be wrapping up and then we'll just quickly make the transition into the next class. But I do wanna leave you with a couple of things. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that after this class, shortly after this class, you go back through your notes. You read everything that you wrote down, fill in the blanks, fill in the missing pieces, because I know I talk fast and you're gonna read something and be like, oh yeah, and she also said this about that, right? So go back through while it's fresh in your mind. It's not gonna stay fresh for long. I mean, you're not, you know, I wish that we would never forget things, but we just do. And so, and as much as, you know, as memorable as I think, maybe I'm so memorable. No, it's, are you all trying to take this picture? I'm so sorry.
No, I'm taking pictures of you in it.
Oh, how nice. You guys. So highlight the best parts and then pull out the one or two that are things that you just know you need to take action on. Okay? So the goal of taking any class, not just this one, any class, is to walk away with one, maybe two actionable items that are gonna make a difference in your business. And you have the notes, so don't worry about forgetting about it. You know, you might, and it might not, bless you, it might not even be important later on, because once you nail the one thing that's on the list, you know, you might be like, oh, those other ideas were great, and maybe I'll tell somebody else about them, or maybe I won't. But just commit to doing the one thing that you've already committed to, and then time block it and make a plan around it. I think Jordan Freed says this, but I think he actually got it from a pastor that I know. If busyness is your drug, rest will feel like stress. And in this business, we have a tendency to be very, very busy all the time. And what I hope that everybody walks away with is an idea of how to bring clarity to your business so that your busyness is productive time. Because when it comes down to it and you've got a vacation that you're headed off to, how many of you agree that you can get a whole lot done in that week leading up to the vacation because you're like, yeah, I am about to be on vacation, I'm gonna be there. This is the most productive week that you have all year long is the one leading up to the vacation, right? So that means that you do have the capability of being productive, you know, all the time. And one of the reasons why we do this is so that we can enjoy the vacation. We know that when we've hit the things on the list, we actually enjoy the vacation more. And this is the key to enjoying the rest that you deserve. We all need to have rest. We talked about that for me. There are sparklers in this business. Do not get lit up with all the sparklers. Find time to make sure that you're prioritizing the things that matter most. It's kind of like when you go to the gym first thing in the morning. You know, like now you're not thinking about going to the gym all day long, negotiating with yourself all day long. You've just done it, and now it's done, and you've had a win for the day. They say that the same is true for making your bed. If you're not in the habit of making your bed every day, I'm going to suggest that that is a really great place to start. And Jay Papasan, in one of his most recent episodes of the One Thing podcast, and if you're not listening to that, friends, it is gold mine. It is gold mine. Listen to it on your drives. It's so, so, so good. But he talked about that there's this whole study that they did about making your bed every day, getting a little win, and how that sets you into the winner's mindset. achieving, okay? So, so that is that. And then, you know, operating from a plan, turning this into a plan, listing appointment first, and then you prioritize some of the other things. But if you just focus on the most important thing, then everything else will come into focus just so much more beautifully. There you go. Okay, it is 11. We did it. Now, if you have questions, as I said, I hope you'll write them down on a piece of paper and just bring them up here. Maybe as we're making the transition, if anybody does want to leave at this time, that is totally fine. We're still going to be talking about business, but it's just going to be a little bit different. And while people are transitioning, I will just open it up for, does anybody have any questions? They're just burning. You just got a burning one. Or ahas. Did anybody have an aha? No. Oh boy.
I did, I had a lot of them.
Oh, thank
Too
God.
many to list, too many to list, Melissa. Question.
Okay.
What is, so in your one thing, we're talking, you know, however many listings and then one buyer for that, so
Oh,
that's
yes.
doubling what you're doing.
Yeah.
What are the best ways to get one buyer for every listing?
Open houses.
What if that's not been your experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Yeah.
and I know this isn't how it always is, and when I
Yeah.
first started, I did open houses, and I was very successful. Like, the last couple open houses I've done,
Yes.
you know, you talk to people and you're building rapport and things are going well. Like this last one I did, everybody claimed to either be represented, or a lot of people actually for this one came in with their agents.
Okay.
So, you know, there's only so much you can do. I mean, you're trying to do that and you're having those conversations. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and I get that it's a numbers thing, so
Right.
in my mind, I'm like, oh, this sucks, I'll probably never do another open house again. But I know that the more I do, the more likely, you know, I will be to have success.
Right.
But
Right. Yes. So then being creative about other ways that you're marketing your property, if that's just, you know, your experience has been that way, and maybe it's even a market condition where it's just like now all of a sudden everybody's bringing their agent to these open houses, you know, then maybe having to shift a little bit and say, okay, how can I market this? How can I utilize Facebook, or how can I do some, you know, Facebook ads? What are some other social media strategies that I could implement that would attract some buyers? Maybe even getting a little bit focused on it to say, okay, this is an ideal property for who? Okay, first time home buyers. All right, so maybe I'm gonna like start marketing this particular property. I mean, it takes more work, but maybe I'm just gonna go to some apartment complexes and I'm gonna start, you know, leaving information behind at apartment complexes and say, you know, inviting people to the open house. You could door knock the neighborhood, inviting people to the open house. When you've got a reason to door knock, it is so much better. You're just, you know, I have got some really great scripts that make that just seem like, oh my gosh, like what a delight that you knocked on my door. Like I will rarely feel that way, but I feel like if somebody came to my house with these scripts, like that would be a really delightful thing. Sarah, do you have a?
Well, I just have an example.
Great.
I have gone back and forth on the whole neighbors only open house thing, and we've never put a ton of time into them. But I was in Arizona over between Christmas and New Year's, and saw there was a house down the street from my house going on the market. Guy knocks on my door, the realtor invited us to a Friday evening neighbors only open house. He actually had the sellers there.
Yeah.
I was there with some girlfriends, so we walked down. That place was hopping.
Wow.
The sellers were there?
The sellers were there, talking to everybody, hugging everybody. It was incredible.
Yeah.
a neighborhood party.
It was a neighborhood party, and I was like, I'm stealing this, I can't
Yes.
from you.
And to piggyback on that, now we're talking about the listing, is a different spot, but it's still a way to attract new business.
See, I'd rather get the other listing than the buyer.
Well,
Really honest.
True. But another way, but you got team members to turn those buyers
Yeah,
over to,
yeah.
you know, and so that's another strategy. But I didn't go into the party niche strategy, but in that one is always, like if you are a party person, if you're good at that and you enjoy it, every single time that you sell a listing, you throw them, you throw a housewarming party for your buyers, or you throw a going away party for your sellers. You invite the neighborhood, you partner with your favorite lender, your favorite closer, whoever, but you make this a thing. You build a system around it, and you just, every single time I host an open house, or I host a housewarming party for people, and you make it be fun. And you handle the legwork for people. And again, this isn't for everybody, so if you're sitting over here going, I do not want to throw a party, then that's not your jam. Like, that's totally okay. But some of you are like, oh, I love parties. Melissa Johnson, I'm looking at you. And so, you know, like there are some, like if that is your thing, Sarah Anderson
Melissa
also,
was there when the guy knocked on my front.
Yes, it means it's a great strategy. Tom.
Kind of going back to Kelly's thought on open houses and people represented and saying they're represented. I've kind of rephrased what I say to instead of, oh, are you working with a realtor? And give it a chance to go, oh, yeah.
Right.
So instead I say, oh, who are you working with?
Yes. That is really good.
So, I mean, there's no way to quantify whether
Yes.
they're lying or not.
Yes.
But I seem to have gotten better responses.
Yes, and I would really encourage you to think about yourself the last time that you went shopping. Do they even have store people anymore? But I mean, like, let's say that you're going in and I'm like, I really need a pair of jeans. Like, I know exactly what I want. I'm gonna tell you what, if somebody catches me right when I walk in and they say, can I help you? I'm gonna say, I'm just looking. Even though I want a pair of jeans and I could probably really use the help. So I love what you're saying, Tom. Like, find a way to sort of neutralize this. And maybe even have a sign-in sheet in the beginning that doesn't talk about their realtor, but then on the back, when you're talking to them and you're getting a little bit of feedback, you can say, you know, I'd love to, you know, are you already under contract with a buyer's agent, you know? Like, make it sound official. Like, this is not like, no, yeah, okay, Tasha, and then.
To add on to that question of asking for their name, we can also add, if I need to give any updates to your agent, you know, then I have their information.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I have found that if I do go to an open house with a list of other properties that are in that area, in their price range, especially if there's something that was a coming soon that maybe wasn't heavily marketed, like in my office, and I know about it, and maybe they haven't seen it yet. This is a way for you to find out, are they really working with someone else? Because if you offer to them, hey, I could meet you at 11 o'clock today at this property, sounds like you're super interested in this one. Oh, I would love that, that'd be fantastic. Okay, here's some paperwork. I'm assuming you're not already, you know, working with someone else, so, you know, like, now, I mean, since you have to have them fill out the paperwork, you don't even really need to ask the question, because once they get filling out the paperwork, they're gonna be like, oh, I already did this with somebody else, sorry. Well, call them then. Okay, so we're gonna make this switch, and if you wanna stay, then that would just make my heart leap for joy, but if you have to leave, my feelings are not hurt, and Sarah, you did say that you might have to leave, and that is totally okay too. So we are gonna make the transition. Oh. Okay, so this is really about a lot that I have learned from sort of like making this giant life decision of kind of living what I will say a Melissa-centered life, because that's just the reality of it. My life before I was a believer was very Melissa-centered. And I will just very briefly tell you that I did grow up going to church. My mom was a Sunday school teacher. You know, we went to church most Sundays, but for whatever reason, and I've got theories, but you know, for whatever reason, I did not get it. And I didn't know what a relationship with Jesus was. I didn't understand the Holy Spirit, and I wasn't reading my Bible, and I didn't know how to pray. So if you are somebody who has a faith, and you know that how important these things are, and if you imagine taking those things out, you could see how easy once college came, and I was in control of my own schedule, how easy it was to say, well, I know what I'm not doing on Sunday morning. And so I just fell away. And then I spent a lot of my entire 20s and a lot of my 30s seeking and looking in some really bad places in the beginning, that's the 20s, and then in the 30s looking in some places that didn't seem as bad, but I pursued a lot of Buddhism and Hinduism and got highly trained, high-level yoga teacher training certifications, lots of just different things that was really all about the God-shaped whole that we're all created with. We all have, like He created us, and we all have this piece of us that only God fills. And He created us that way so that, because He gave us free will, so that we would seek Him. But in our seeking, sometimes we find other things that seem to sort of fit, you know, it sort of fits in, but it doesn't quite. So I spend a lot of my time doing that. Okay, so so let me just start with sharing this little scripture. So James 4:13-15, come now, you who say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such and such town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. And that is a verse that has really, it's not one that I'm gonna put on a cross stitch, you know, pillow or anything, but really it speaks to my heart because I was I recognized that for a very long part of my life, it was, Melissa, what is your will? What do you want to do today? And so it's a slight shift. Like your whole life does not have to radically change. It's just what is at the top is what changes. And so I like to say, I already wrote, oh yeah, we can remove this though. Or can I just erase this? We don't care about this anymore. All right, so I want to draw something out for you, but also just kind of this principle of first things first. And and that's a good principle for your business too, right? We just talked about that. What's your one thing? What's your 20%? You know, you've got to focus on the first things first in your business. But also, first things first is about, I'm just gonna put it up here and I can't talk right at the same time. Probably already saw that I don't always spell right, I don't know. First things first, okay. It's the order of priority, but it's also, you know, what is first? What is first in our life? And so when we think about, you know, our GPS and all of that, I'm just gonna propose, you know, that if you've got your, you know, your goals, your priorities, your strategies, and this is, you know, how you're starting your business, really at the top is, you got your big why, why don't you sort of think about who's the big who, okay? So your big who, you know, like God, right? And I'm actually gonna give you a different way of thinking about this. So, so instead of being like, and we all know this, Keller Williams, the values are God, family, and then business, right? And that should be our order of priority. We prioritize in that order. But I wanna give you a little shifted way of thinking about this. I want you to think about it more like this, more like a circle than a line. So God is at the center of all of it. God is first in your business. He's first in your family. So, you know, so here, you know, then it's like, okay, then family, then your business, you know, then your health, your peace, I must be hungry, money, your finances, you know, your friendships, whatever you deem, you know, oh my gosh, wow. Anyway, you know what friends are. Okay, but God is at the center instead of God first and then everything else. Because it's a slight shift, but it is a different way of thinking about it. How do I honor God in my family? And here's something that I really think is powerful. I took a little marriage class, and they drew us this little triangle, and I just thought it was so cool. And I will tell you that here's something interesting for those of you who are married. I want to just tell you for the last 2.5 years, I am not exaggerating when I tell you that my husband and I, this is what I'm backing out. I'm backing out, we did not shower together, TMI, and we did not go to the bathroom together. This is the only things that we did not do together for the last 2.5 years. We have spent about 23 hours together every single day for the last 2 years. And I will also tell you that being a missionary was not always awesome. And it was not always easy. In fact, it was rarely easy and it was rarely awesome. That's just the truth. And so what that stress had the potential of doing was drawing Dave and I further apart from each other. And we did yell sometimes, which is not something you're supposed to do in Germany because it's very quiet. But there were a couple times that we did yell. I mean, I'm just being honest, like stress still, happens. But okay, so if you put, you over here, as you grow closer to God, So, so maybe it's so I'm just gonna put, O for other. So like maybe it's your spouse, but it could be a child, could be a friend. Here is the really cool thing, that as I grew closer to God and as Dave grew closer to God, we also grew closer to one another. So sometimes because this is not how it works for business. If I grow closer to my business, I will actually grow further away from my husband, right? Like, it's just, if I'm spending all my time doing that, then I don't necessarily have time. I mean, that's a complicated thing, and it's not just black and white, but this is the only priority in your life that will actually cause you to be closer to the other people in your life than further away or draw you away from them, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's kind of a different way of thinking about it, I feel like. So instead of just operating from, okay, I love those numbers, yes, a $2 million business, that sounds fantastic, maybe just pausing. And before you go there, before you even come up with this, your plan for your one thing bang, have you prayed about it? Matthew 6:33 tells us to seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will follow. But we seek first the kingdom, and a lot of times that means seeking first what's God's will. If the Lord wills, we will do this or do that. That's what James tells us. And so I want to propose that as we think about goals, that the very, very, very first goal is glorifying God. And it doesn't matter what profession you're in, it doesn't matter what activity, so we're in real estate, great, okay, it doesn't matter what my activities for the day are, I can glorify God, I can choose to glorify God in these activities. And so, like, for example, let's say that your goal is, help 25 people sell their home this year, help 25 buyers buy a home this year, take 12 mini vacations with my family, and cheerfully give the first 15% of my time and treasure to ministry or to back to the Lord. Those are great goals, and when God is at the center of them, it will cause your life to feel more integrated than in silos. Because this is what ends up happening when we live, and I mean, I even did this as a missionary. Like, I am telling you, like, straight from the horse's mouth, this was a big shift in my life, and that was, like, I was living in the bucket of, wife, or living in the bucket of worker, or living in the bucket of churchgoer, like, that's not how life was meant to be lived, we're meant to live an integrated life, and this is the key to that integrated life, is figuring out, how do I make God the center of each aspect of it? And I really think that, starting with prayer, and then maybe just like making some commitments, like I will live my faith out loud. I will ask every day how my to-do list is glorifying God, and remove things that don't. There might be some things that you're like, what? This isn't gonna bring me closer to God or glorify Him in any way. This is just something that I'm doing because I feel guilty and I feel like I should do it. Take it off, it's fine. I will give God His first share. I will look for ways to point to Jesus in all that I do. I will remember that my family is my first mission field. God, family, and then business. So yes, God is at the center of all of them, but there is still a priority order. Business never comes before family, and it shouldn't probably come before the other things either, although it is connected to money. I will make my workplace my mission field. I'll be prepared at all times to give a reason for the hope that I have, the scripture that tells us that. And at some point, obedience is going to take you 180 degrees away from where you thought you were going to go. The one thing, some of you know the story of our time on the mission field, a lot of you don't, and what I will just tell you in a nutshell is that it wasn't anything like I expected. If I were going to give it a title, it is Expect the Unexpected. Because it was nothing at all like I expected. It was better in a multitude of ways, and it was harder in all the ways that I didn't expect it to be hard. And the things that I did expect to be hard weren't really all that hard by comparison. But what I do know is that through those trials, what God absolutely taught me, and now I have a visceral, like I experienced it, because I left Turkey which was not, I'll just be clear, Turkey was not a place that I was like, oh, I just want to live in Turkey for the rest of my life, I just love this place. Like, no, like, not at all. And if that is a conversation if you want to talk more about my story, I was always happy to have coffee with anybody and talk about it. But that was not, was not my burning desire. I mean, honestly, my burning desire was just to stay here and keep living my life. But God just made it clear that that was not the plan. But I went to Germany out of a necessity because Turkey didn't want us there anymore, and that's just a simple way of saying it. But we had to leave, and so I went to Germany, kind of kicking and screaming. And what I found in Germany was an answer to every single prayer that I had been praying and begging for the entire time that we were in Turkey. So what God taught me was, now this one can be cross-stitched on a pillow, and I probably had it, but I didn't believe it. It wasn't cross-stitched on my heart until now. His plans are better than our plans. Always, always, always. He has a plan for you. It's better than yours. It's good. It's to prosper you, to not harm you. And it's true for your family. It's true for the people you love too. So if you're hearing this and you're like, who is this Jesus she's talking about? Because I grew up, like, her childhood story sounds more like my faith walk. Maybe that's you. Like, I would absolutely love to talk to you about your faith journey. But I will just tell you that it is without a doubt absolutely the truth that God really does have an incredible plan for your life, and I can't stress it enough. The other thing that I learned is the number one person in any situation, so whether it's your business, a ministry, a relationship, whatever it is, the number one person that God is working on in that business, in that endeavor, in that relationship, the number one person is you. Now, God's working on the other person too, yes. But when you think about, okay, I'm thinking about my business and I'm thinking about how to, like, you are the number one person that God is working on. So when you feel like you need to change something, when you feel, that something needs to adjust, just remember that God is doing something new in you. And just, be open to that. And a lot, some of this stuff, like, it's, you know how hard it is to put something in your heart into words. Like, this is one of those times that I'm attempting to do it, but I do know that it's difficult to, take something so big. But I'm going to share this. This is going to sound a little bit alarming, but this is a quote that I read that the single greatest cause of atheism, and that is a lot of what I experienced. So I experienced a lot of secularism or atheism, actually in Turkey. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting that. They're Muslim, but they are also secular. A lot. I mean, some of them are very, very religious, but some of them, a lot of them, especially under 40. And in Germany, absolutely, lots and lots of atheism. So the single greatest cause of atheism in the world today is Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips and walk out the door and deny him by their lifestyle. That is what an unbelieving world simply finds unbelievable. And it is just the truth. So my first thing that I would say to you, if you are a believer, is do no harm. Like we don't have to do you don't have to, evangelize to everybody, but just be mindful that the world is, you are being watched. And I'm just going to tell a very, very quick story. Some of you know this, and some of you, even if you know me and you know this person I'm going to tell the story about, maybe you don't know this story. And maybe some of you are surprised, like, you will be surprised to hear that I was a missionary and really only gave my life to Christ, 6 years ago. Again, I grew up going to church, but that didn't mean that I had a relationship with Jesus, and there is a difference. And so Steph was at the front desk, and then she was director of operations here, and she's not here, and so a lot of you don't know her, but if you do know her, and it doesn't matter, but Steph, she loves Jesus. She loved him then, she loves him now, she loves Jesus. Not in a Bible thumper kind of a way. She's not running around being like, have you gone to church? You're a sinner. What's wrong with you? What's that truly doing in your hand? You are going to hell, None of that. She was just not, but you just knew. And if you've ever known somebody, or if you are that person that just has the joy of the Lord, you know what I'm talking about. And if you know Steph, then you definitely know what I'm talking about. But she just had the joy of the Lord. not a perfect life, but she just exuded joy. She loved people, she cared about people. And I watched her for 2 years. I watched her love Jesus. She did not invite me to church. That's fine. I'm glad she didn't. I probably would, maybe my path would be totally different. Because instead what happened was, after 2 years of working side by side with her, knowing she loves Jesus, and kind of in my heart being like, she's got something that I want. I wonder if it's real, because I already tried that. I mean, I kind of felt like I had a little checkbox by that one, like, tried it, wasn't for me. But watching her live out her faith, one day, the words just came out of my mouth, and now I understand God. But at the time, I was like, where did that come from, and how do I back out of this? Because I just said to her, hey, Steph, I think maybe some Sunday Dave and I will join you for church. Oh my gosh, that was the end of it. She was like, yes, you will, and this is the Sunday, and this is where you park, and this is how it goes, and this is how everything happens, and I will text you, and then somebody else will text you, and then this is, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, now I gotta go home and tell Dave. I'm definitely not doing this alone. And you know what? God used that in the most miraculous way that we don't have time to talk about. And that's not even the church that we ended up staying at, and you know, we moved on, but that's what God used, was this life of somebody who loved him so much and did not pressure and did not even invite. And I'm not saying don't invite people to church, please, by all means, if you feel like inviting somebody to church, go for it. But also if you don't, it's okay. Your life is a testimony to the goodness of God in your life. And I don't think that she could have ever possibly dreamt that her being a lover of Jesus would end up with 2 grown adults living across the world sharing Jesus with Turks. You know, like there's no way. And so the same is true for you. Like you just have no way of knowing, okay? And so this profession allows you the gift of meeting a lot of people. I want to invite you to just be ready to capitalize on that. Do you think that it's possible that God has you here in this business, not just to receive that big dollar blessing? That's great, and you can do a lot of good with that. But maybe to also be a blessing. We do know that the scripture says that you're blessed to be a blessing, right? And maybe it's not simply to make a fortune, but to enrich the lives of the people that God puts in your life. To reach and to share and to shine his light in the world. And I don't know why, but I made this analogy, and this is ridiculous, but I'm just going to tell it to you anyhow. Okay, so let's imagine that you go to a place, okay, because part of sharing, and this is just the reality, this is the reality in the United States, it's definitely the reality in Turkey, and it was actually surprisingly the reality in Germany. I met a lot of people who'd never been exposed to the gospel, ever. Surprising, but it's true. So when you think about sharing your faith with people, sometimes it can be overwhelming, like, I don't know if I know all the right words, I don't know, okay. So imagine that you go to a place, this is weird, I know, but imagine that you go to a place where people are combing their hair with, like, you know, a pineapple, like with its things. You could possibly use, is that a comb? It's not what it's called. Whatever the green part of the pineapple is, the top of the pineapple. The crown, I knew it was something, okay. You see people and they're like, hey, this is how I comb my hair. I'm just combing my hair with the top of this pineapple. Like, okay, that works. There's a better way, and I've got combs, and I would like to introduce you to this incredible comb, you know? And sometimes that's the thing that we forget, is that sometimes we're sharing our faith with somebody who literally doesn't have any idea. It's not that they've rejected God. It's not that they don't have an interest. They just don't know. They just don't know. So just being open to that. And I had a house analogy, but we're out of time. That would have been a better one to leave you with. But 2 other things I want to leave you with. Hustle is not a fruit of the Spirit. Okay? Hustle is not a fruit of the Spirit. What are the fruits of the Spirit? Probably some of you know these by heart. I don't know why. It's 9. It's not that many, but I do not have them memorized. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those are the fruit of the Spirit, not hustle. So if you focus on living your life exuding the fruit of the Spirit in your life, in your business, in your marriage, in your child parenting, in your relationships. If you seek first the kingdom, everything else will be added to you. You do have to work, but it will be for the joy of the Lord, right? And it does make a difference. And then finally, Colossians 3:17 says, "And whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him." So instead of seeking fulfillment in the work itself, God is inviting us to view our work as an act of worship and to find meaning in being beloved creations made in the image of God. Okay, I want to pray for us really quickly. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the time today, Lord. Thank you for each one of these people, their hearts. I just pray, Lord, that anything that was from you and that was meant for them will just sink deeply and take root in their heart. And anything that wasn't, Lord, that it would just wash away. I pray your blessing over each one of these people as they come and go throughout this week, Lord. I pray in the year ahead that you will bless their businesses, that you will remind them that they were created in your image to be a blessing in this world, to shine your light. Lord, equip them, strengthen them, bless them in abundant ways, in ways that they hadn't even expected, surprise and delight them. And in Jesus' name we pray all of this. Amen. Thank you all. This was so fun.
This was so fun.
Question. What does it mean to, from your perspective, we see it a lot, especially like right now, it's big topic of glorifying God, especially in college championship football, we saw it was all beautiful.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? I've heard a bunch of different people kind of twist it differently.
Yeah.
You're new to your faith, what does it glorify God? Years.
Right. You know, sometimes when I try to explain something, it's good for me to do it from the opposite perspective. And so before I was walking with Christ, I was living a life that was to glorify me. And so what that looked like was, you know, aiming for success. How do I achieve this? How do I, you know, get this next thing? You know, how do I improve myself? And a life that glorifies God shifts the focus off of me, and it helps me to remember that this isn't even my story that I'm living. This is God's story. And so how do I shine the light back on him, even through successes, but also through failures, you know? I think that it's easier to shine and to be, and for the world to look at us and look for us to glorify somebody in the wins. But I think it's even more powerful when we give God the glory in the hard times and in the struggles and in the valleys. And so for me, it is just, you know, how do I live in a way that is, that I'm living by the fruit of the Spirit and not the fruit of the world? Hustle is for sure a fruit of the world. And there's a lot more, you know, there's a lot more. But it's subtle differences, but it's a heart shift. It's a heart shift, and it's a humility. I think we replace pride with humility, and we say, I am nothing. I am like literally nothing, and God is everything, and God has equipped me, all my strength, all my skills, they come from him. Okay. Dismissed. Oh yes, Lisa. Stick around if you want to, and I'll answer questions for sure, but don't want you to feel like you have to. Oh, fantastic, by the way. I gotta give you a hug since you. Oh, it's so nice to see you.
That's the second part. That's my new jersey.
Is it?
Great ideas.
I like the whole.
So that was just.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I want to get an IP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to connect.
Hopefully see you around some more.
Yes, hi.
Party.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, yes. Okay, so joy, peace, patience.
Say.
I'm gonna get my cheat sheet.
I'm missing one. I'm just gonna listen to that.
Okay, so joy, peace, patience, kindness.
Get the word out.
Oh, I sure will.
Goodness.
Thanks, Kathy.
And
Your
faithfulness.
Keep up the good work, man.
Gentleness.
It's tough trying to remember where all the tables went.
You did a great job. You did one of the best jobs we've seen so far.
Yes.
Only thing is, we pulled them out.
So good to see you.
That's the only thing. I like that.
I love your lipstick.
Cancer.
Maybe one day I'll do the worm.
Was it up? Maybe it was up last week.
As long as someone can drive the car.
I was gonna say, my bag is gonna do that.
How's your, did you steal my shoes or what? I know when you bought those, you thought of me.
I did. And when I put them on today, I thought of you. I was like, just for Tasha.
A little bit of spice.
Good to see you.
Tell Michelle I said, but I don't know.
I will.
Okay.
By the way, I know you're interested.
So it's kind of and I hear, okay, good. So glad.
I'm so glad to hear that.
And that's what we're talking about, it's like, you know that it's out there and there's great direction on how to do it.
No.
We don't
One of the first songs that I heard.
It's on the middle shelf, closest to the back.
I saw it on the video, and I'm like, oh, I know, it's beautiful. I saw it all these there you go. Okay. So what did you do? Very good on my phone. Oh, wow. Yeah, so I could,
Aside from everything, did Zoom get shut off or?
Melissa, I wanna take a picture with you.
oh,
Have fun.
about it is like,
Do it.
in charge of like the payroll, but I don't need that.
Before you did your half hour, I
Here,
was
go
like,
ahead, do it.
but now I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
gone if it's in your well.
I didn't turn over stones because.
Because I,
You're so sweet.
you're so sweet.
And so there's.
That's why I said if it's in his well.
If it's in his will,
I feel that it's
okay.
in the market center's will.
Listen, this is one of them.
And
God,
we've got
if I have any pull with you.
gone maybe just a year, whatever. I don't know.
Comfort and
Jamie,
condition.
James, can you do this?
Why you
Oh,
think I'm good
Oh,
at
there we
this?
go. Okay, I was like, we're doing a selfie.
you're not, but I don't really have a lot of choices, so.
Isn't it this way? Don't.
Yes, hold up
Can
so
you
that-
please make us look
Yes, hold
as
it
fabulous
upper.
as we are?
Hold it
Well,
up,
yeah,
look,
that's-
okay.
Hold it up.
No,
Oh,
nobody
boy.
wants a picture of you.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can make this happen. That's easy models.
Thank you.
I need one of those too.
Yeah, that's one of those. Okay.
Jamie, can you do one more where we're not so far away?
Well, can you zoom? I leave that up to you
Jamie,
to-
when I post this, I'm not zooming in.
Oh.
You don't edit?
One more, I guess.
No, why would I edit? If I'm taking a photo, it's right, I don't need to edit. I've already zoomed for you.
All right, so do you want whole body or up close?
Whatever you can get that makes our faces look good, and if it's half shot, that's
Already
fine,
looks good.
but make us look skinny.
1, 2, 3. How's that?
You killed it. That's good.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Fix this.
Oh, goodness.
Listen, it was great to meet you, I can't wait.
It
for you
was
to
so
come back
great
again.
to meet you.
Who wants to do an interview?
Can I do a part-time?
With the.
Look at her with her proper.
Yes.
So I'm like, with who?
She
Who
would be
you?
the one, she's all decked out.
Yeah. You know how, like, police team or whatever, or like when they're talking with Congress people and that. when they're coming out.
I'm on day 14 of 75 hard.
Look, and she's already got her coat on, so that's even perfect. Hey, real quick, before you leave.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanna
right?
hear about, like
In my.
closings. Think of the one last closing.
And
You got
reading their book.
give me some insight into it, and then I'll be.
It looks like you've read it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
show a bunch of pictures or a bunch of little photos in there and then let it get wet.
No, I haven't. Well, I was it, well,
Like you're walking
it was
out,
in the
it could've been
car
10
and
years.
the grandkids stepped all over it and I was like
And then
upset
it's
with them
like,
and then I thought,
oh, I heard it,
whatever,
this
maybe I
is
should read this.
I should get through
I
it.
have many copies, I have
And
the.
that's you bragging.
Yeah, that's nice.
Where did you spiral by?
And then you're slightly annoyed.
I ordered it.
No,
But you
mine
can take it to
Taylor
Max or.
right out.
And Tasha office Max or Chico, they can do it too.
Right, I know, also have the tabs if you order
Yeah,
it from.
yeah, see, and that's what I wanted to have the tabs too, so I ordered.
I think if you order it from. Yeah. Yeah, Red Store. Well, aren't y'all going to family meeting? Did you meet with?
No, today. No, it's today.
Oh, it's today, okay. What time?
12.
Where is, wait, family?
I just have to
Vegas,
Vegas
again.
Thanks for the update on it, appreciate it.
Oh, my
You're
God.
welcome, and you should be getting emails.
You're welcome. No, good to see
I don't
you.
get any well done.
What time are you coming in tomorrow?
Not from me.
Seriously,
No, not
like,
from me.
You guys are so funny.
Like, I've already prayed about it, I feel good about it. So, like, do I need God to like
Appointment.
drop a pillar of fire in your backyard?
You will get notified.
Burning bush here.
So
Yeah.
anytime I have to put
You
somebody
say
in
that, but now I'm gonna
for
find a
you,
way to
and
find
you're
a
the
little cartoon
referring
burning
person.
bush.
Yeah. Here's the burning bush you're looking for.
Opted out
Like,
stuff.
what are the odds,
You won't.
timing if we have this
But you
position
do get
available?
notified. This is
And it's
something I
morphed
verified with
into
Jason, so
something
that way
different
you
than it
can
was when
track
you were
where
here.
your people are in the
But
process.
it's in ways so like a ministry.
So you're not,
Like, I don't know if you're gonna like convert people to Jesus per se, but you're gonna remind them of how God should be at the center of everything they're doing. And when that's the one thing, everything else becomes easier.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
I've had to walk away from more than one deal because I knew it was not gonna honor God.
Exactly, you know,
And even I didn't get a
but
listing.
it always comes, like, it always pays off.
Yeah.
It always pays off. Sometimes you don't see it, because sometimes it's like, oh, I just got saved from something that I didn't have to experience.
Yep, I didn't get a listing and it was with a divorcing couple from our church. The woman has not been involved in 2 or 3 years and she didn't want anyone who knew their situation to be involved, so she chose actually KW Apple Valley agent, neither one of them knew. But I actually had a complete sense of peace afterwards that God just spared me from something, whether it was my name being tarnished, because my worst transaction in my life was this year with a divorced couple.
Oh,
And so I couldn't help but feel like, yeah, maybe I missed out on 20 grand, but my reputation's intact, everything.
Yes.
And how many times have you wanted to fire a client, but you're so far into it, you're like, I am getting paid.
Yep,
Oh my
yep,
God,
exactly.
I didn't have time for. All right, see you guys later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patty. Information for you guys to.
Thanks, Scotty. We'll see you later. That was perfect.
I was just gonna ask you, did Dave, get a job?
Oh, man, it is so slow. We had a second interview yesterday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. He's feeling really good about it.
Okay.
He should know by the end of the week about the next interview. How many interviews?
Well.
At least we're moving in the right direction. Yeah, I know, that's true.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
There's how many interviews?
Hire
that we
slow,
do?
fire fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true, very true. When you're on this side of it though.
I know.
Yeah.
Not as fun.
No, but
Not as, yeah, not as clear.
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing good. So, praise Lord.
Yeah, and so that would be staying here.
Yes, yes. But we have started, casting the net wider, just because it was like, wow, it's not happening. So sometimes you're like, well, okay, God, is it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, okay, fine. So now he's just, very recently, but now he's like, we've been applying in Germany still, because we did feel like,
Oh, really?
God could call us back. Yeah, we left ministry opportunities, that we
Okay.
just would love to keep doing.
Yeah.
But so he just now started applying like anywhere. He's like, I'm not even looking where the job is, I'm just gonna start applying. So, that's how God moved us here, was like, wasn't necessarily our plan, but, it was his plan.
Yep.
And he just made it, it happened so easily. So I think that's kind of where we're trying not to feel discouraged, because it's like, well, God, your word says work is good. And really, he's eager, he's just eager for that to be, his, ministry,
field,
Yeah.
but also to just feel productive.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure.